Hi, I'm Martial Arts Master Bill Fitzpatrick, welcoming you to Lesson 10 of the Master Real Estate course. One of the primary reasons for investing in real estate is leverage. Leverage is using other people's money to buy larger properties or more properties. Through a combination of first and second mortgages, well, you're probably going to be able to leverage most of your purchases to 75 to 90% of the purchase price. The same technique that you have been using to find and evaluate property, you're now going to use to finance your purchases. That technique is preparation. Banks and loan companies should not intimidate you. Regardless of economic conditions, and regardless of what any know-nothings may be telling you, the business of the bank is to lend money. Banks must lend money to survive. Therefore, banks are going to be lending money. Don't be discouraged if on occasion your application is rejected. But if it is rejected, you want to know the reason why, so ask. Then go on to the next bank on your list and start over again. If you're being rejected because of problems with the property, this gives you reasons to renegotiate your deal with the seller. Now, be aware, too many novice investors get caught up worrying too much about interest rates and terms. Interest rates and terms are very important if you're securing a property to hold for 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Interest rates are not so important if you're buying a property that you intend to flip in 4, 5, 6 months. If your goal is to secure 6 core properties to hold for the long term, then absolutely, you want to lock in the best long-term rates that you can. Otherwise, stay focused on the deal. If you have negotiated a really good deal and you find that diamond in the rough, your objective should be to close that deal as quickly as possible and not risk losing the deal because you want to wait a few weeks or months to see if the 4.5% interest rate is going to go down to 4%. Don't wait. Close the deal. Now let's talk about the lender's appraiser. The appraiser's job is to be certain that the property you're buying is worth what you're paying for it. At least is the property worth considerably more than the amount that you're borrowing. In other words, for any reason, if you default on the loan, can the lender foreclose and get its money back, including legal fees? The person who is responsible for making sure that the lender's interests are protected from a valuation perspective is the lender's appraiser. Remember that, lender's appraiser. The appraiser is working for the lender and not for you, the borrower. Although it's you, the borrower, who normally has to pay the appraisal fee. Now, this fee can be several $100s and may be non-refundable even if you don't get the loan. But in our case, stay confident. If you're a master of success in real estate, remember who you are. You are the expert on value in your small specific investment area. The odds are overwhelming that you're going to know more than the appraiser knows about values. How is this possible? Well, most appraisers, like most real estate investors, work in a much larger geographical area, while you are the specialist in a very small, specific investment area. You should, you must, you're going to know your values. Now, knowledge is power. This is no time to be shy. I want you to be sure to attend the appraisal and be ready to answer questions and counter any objections. Since you are a professional real estate investor and investment expert, you already know what you're buying. You already know that all of your deals, 100% of your deals are going to be good to great deals. So there should be relatively little, if any, problems with any appraisals. Well, again, be there. Make sure that there are no problems. Now, some appraisers will spend hours measuring everything and making drawings. Other appraisers seem obsessed with the plumbing and must turn on every faucet in the house to check for water pressure and leaks. Some will be out there taking, what are they doing? Taking dozens and dozens of photos. Some will be turning up their noses at, oh, how other people live. On the flip side, you're going to find that there are some appraisers who are frankly very cavalier in their approach. So some appraisers are going to show up wearing work boots and other ones are going to show up in fur coats. Whoever these appraisers are, how they choose to do their job, that's their business, not yours. What's your job as a professional real estate investor? Your job, your business is to get the loan. And you don't get the loan without a favorable appraisal. This means that you are prepared to go along with the appraiser and what the appraiser wants to do, whether that appraisal takes 30 minutes or 3 hours. Whatever it is, that's what it is. Now, this appraiser could be the biggest phony and jerk you've ever met. You still smile, you still cooperate. What are you doing? Always focused on loan approval. Now, some appraisers will act highly indignant if you show them a list of comparable sales, and others will act indignant if you don't have a list of comparable sales for them. In other words, doing their job for them. Obviously, it's better to have the comparable sales list and not need the list than to not have the list and to be asked for it. During the appraisal process, remember, the odds are always going to be in your favor. Keep in mind that the bank wants to lend money. The bank wants your loan to be approved. Therefore, the bank wants a favorable appraisal. If an appraiser is someone who is killing one deal after another, believe me, that appraiser is not going to be hired by that bank again. Remember the big picture. You are the principal player. You are the investor. You are the one who stands to make the big bucks in this transaction. You smile, you cooperate, you get the job done. This is important. It is important that at some point during the appraisal tour of your property that you discreetly, or even not so discreetly, mention your purchase price to the appraiser. Be absolutely sure that the appraiser knows that you're paying $300,000 for the property or whatever the price is. Make absolutely sure that the appraiser knows that you are asking for a $240,000 mortgage. Nothing wrong with this. I mean, you're never going to lie to a lender or to an appraiser. This is unethical and it's illegal. This could be fraud and could land you in jail. Remember, there are always going to be new deals for active investors, professional investors willing to put in the study time to find them. But when you're on this appraisal tour, I want you to think of yourself as the commanding general. You are the one who has the most at stake. I want you to be the one controlling the tour. It could be that the seller's agent is a chatty know-nothing. So you or your super agent in advance have to tell that chatty seller's agent, back off, be quiet. Let us do the talking during the appraisal process. Also, during the appraisal tour, you don't need an army of semi-interested people walking through the apartments and making comments. If you're buying a multifamily house with tenants already in there, these tenants are going to be nervous when a property is being sold. Now, you want the tenants to be smiling and to say nothing. Tenants who are planning to remain in the property also have an interest in being liked by you because you're going to be the new owner. So, the tendency for tenants is to be cooperative. But again, in advance, take charge and ask them. Ask them beforehand, before the appraisal. Tell them what's going to happen and say, we're going to be in your apartment for a few minutes. I would appreciate it if you would smile and say nothing. This is your pre-appraisal tour drill. Make sure you have all the keys. Make sure that the keys work. If you're buying something like an 18 or 24 or 34 unit building, the appraiser isn't going to want to see all the units. So ask the appraiser in advance how many units they'd like to see. Common sense. Make sure that the lights work in the hallway, the basement, the attic, and the other common areas. Make sure that the common area is the laundry room. They're clean. If they're junk up, make sure those are gone. Know where the electrical panel is and where the heating units are located. And then have access to them if they're blocked. Make sure they're unblocked. Make sure common sense things. The lawn is mowed. These are all the things, this is all the advance work that a professional real estate investor does. That's what you are, again and again. You are a professional real estate investor. You will do whatever you can do to make sure that there is a smooth appraisal process. Okay, here's our story for this lesson. Jimmy was the head mechanic for a large auto dealership. He made a great salary, almost $200,000 a year. With his profits, he was a smart guy. He bought real estate. Had real estate, good job, nice family. Jimmy had one really big problem. He was a drunk. First, he lost his license once, then twice, then 3 times. He was put on probation at work once, twice, 3 times. Unfortunately, this guy went into a downward spiral. He was arrested for DUI again and again. He ended up in jail on weekends and then for weeks and then for months. First, he lost his job, then he lost his family. Jimmy's slide forced his wife to get a job. Having had it easy for the good old days, she now really resented Jimmy and resented the situation that Jimmy had put her and the kids in. Now, my real estate office rented Jimmy's apartments, and we increasingly took over the management responsibilities as Jimmy's slide continued. Over a 3-year period, the wife sold office properties in order to keep her beautiful house intact. Then, when the actual divorce came, there were only 3 properties left. In the settlement, Jimmy got to keep a 2-family house. The wife got the large single-family house and a very nice 6-family house. I took over management of the 6th family. Now, the first month I made a list of the repairs and improvements that should be done to the property. I brought the list to the wife and she balked at all of this. She'd said, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, and I don't have the inclination to worry one more day about Jimmy's 6-family house. Just 1 month after the divorce, she had a new man, was seeing a new life, and was ready to move on. She said to me, Bill, I owe $250,000 on this house. That's what I'm looking for. Get me out of this. I said, that 6th family is worth $450,000. You can't sell it for $250,000. A very costly week later, I called the wife back because, well, frankly, I was interested in buying the property. What happened when I called her? Well, it seems that a local contractor was doing a small repair at her house. She mentioned to him about the 6th family and about the price that she wanted. Hey, this guy was no dope. This was a no-brainer. He had that deal signed and sealed immediately. He made several $100,000 for that little home repair call. For me, What gives here? It was the Anderson deal all over again. The wife couldn't have been more clear that she didn't want the burden of Jimmy's six-family house and she wanted to move on with her life. She spoke, but I didn't listen. Listen to the client. Listen to the client. Let me repeat. I am not a social worker. I am not a therapist. Who am I? I'm a professional real estate investor who should be listening to the client. Now, to those outside of the business, when I tell these stories, they go, that's never going to happen. But professional real estate investors know these things do happen. So, let's go out and let's do it.